everybody, welcome back to Magic Orthodoxy. My name is David, and this is a magic review. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for spending 5, 8, 10, 12 minutes a day with me every single day, because I love playing cards and I love magic tricks and I love showing those things to you. And I'm in a very blessed position where I'm able to have those things sent to me so that I can show them to you, so that you guys know about the latest and the greatest. That way, you don't waste your money. You're gonna find the things that you love, find the things that you gravitate towards. I'm gonna tell you exactly what you get in the box. I'm gonna tell you exactly what your money gets you, and that enables you to make wise choices. I want you to make wise choices. Buy magic you love, buy magic that you'll perform. Today, we're looking at Spidey Live. Spidey Live, this was a Penguin Magic lecture, 3.5 hours. Oh my goodness. 3.5 hours of mentalism, knowledge from Spidey, the man, the myth, the legend. If you don't know who Spidey is, he's from Montreal. He's been on Wizard Wars. He's been on Masters of Illusion. He's been on Penn and Teller. His last release, ABC, I also reviewed that. Go check that out. That was one of the best-selling mentalism effects in forever. And it won Trick of the Year last year at the 2021 Penguin Magic Awards. So, yeah. And plus, remember the big whole like Johnny Depp, Amber Heard trial? Remember that? Remember that? Spidey was putting out TikToks during that time, and he was talking about mannerisms and the way people were on the stand, and he was talking about just being able to read people. That was so fascinating. If you're not following him out on TikTok, you definitely should. He's Spidey Hypnosis. He's got 50,000 followers, and you can also find him over on YouTube as well. 366,000 followers over on YouTube. This today, Spidey Live, obviously a Penguin Live lecture, right? And you know I love to watch these. I love to watch these on the airplane, because you're driving for a really long time out in the sky, and you're just sitting there. And of course, the airplane either has nothing for you to watch, or it's just like old TV and old movies. I like to bring up a Penguin Live and watch magic for 3.5 hours. It's fun. This is his whole real world act. This is a parlor act, right? Parlor act. Done seated. We'll talk more about that. This is his everyday carry, he said. These are road-tested magic tricks. And the way this is shot and performed is that the film goes back and forth. So sometimes when you watch Penguin Lives, you get the entire act, right, first as one long block, which is nice because then you get to see, the downtime in between tricks. But this is also interesting because sometimes when you watch a trick, you want to immediately know how it's done, right? You're like, I don't want to wait till the end. So this is shot so that he performs, and then it's explained back in the Penguin Magic Studio with Eric Tate, which is nice also, because Eric Tate, magician himself, right? And he kind of acts as the second voice for you, less an interviewer. How Dan Harlan kind of does the interview style. Eric Tate's really there. He's asking the same kind of questions that you would ask, but then he's also throwing out his own little pieces of advice and little ideas, which is great. So the fact that he contributes was it's an extra bonus. So what are the tricks? That's what you want to know. What are the tricks that you get with this video? The first one is called Match Match. The magician has a spectator remove a specific amount of matches secret to him from a matchbook, and the amount of matches a prediction the magician had made previously. It's a good opener, very easy to do. You as a magician might even figure out how it's done when you watch it performed. Spidey even admits that it might not fool you, but it's a great use of a classic plot. The second trick is called Elementary. The magician uses the spectator's watch as a divining rod to find a magician's lost item that's been hidden around the stage. Now, you are going to need 2 special gimmicks for this. A gimmick that I've reviewed in the past and that I've used. It's even popped up in my everyday carry videos. But Spidey has added an element to this that will lift your mentalism to the next level. And to be truthful, you could scrap this entire routine, and just that one idea that he comes up is worth this entire trick. You could easily devise your own routine, and I hope you do. And when Spidey's explaining this tip to Eric Tate Eric says it's nightmarishly good. The third trick is Connection 2.0. It's a billet routine. The spectator writes an idea and it's lost in the stack, and then it becomes kind of like an any card to any number. Spidey deals the billets to the table and the spectator calls out stop on the billet they just have a feeling about. Spidey gives them a reading and reveals the item they wrote and turns it over. You're going to learn a classic card move and a very sneaky any card at any number and a peek. The fourth trick is called Heroes. It's another billet routine. You make two predictions for the spectator, both their superhero name and their superhero power. And then using their own choices, they naturally arrive at your prediction. You're going to learn to make a killer switching device that could easily be an EDC that you take anywhere, and it'll help you always get a one ahead. You'll also learn a classic force that you can use for any routine that requires your spectator having to narrow the field down to one choice. Then they go off on a tangent. They go off on a tangent, and I have to interject. They say Hulk versus Wolverine. Hulk versus Wolverine. If you've watched my channel in the past, you know this is something I'm strongly passionate about. I have a huge comic book collection. I've shown you my comic book collection here on this channel. Hulk and Wolverine, so far, they have fought in an issue at least 6 times. At least 6 times. Now, several of those times weren't in their own universe, so sometimes people say, well, those fights don't count, right? I think if you said Wolverine's the cooler answer, you know what I mean? He's the cooler character, so it's obviously the cooler answer, but I say the Hulk. I say the Hulk because he's nearly indestructible. He's completely invulnerable. Side by side, Hulk just has better stats. All right, let's talk about the fifth trick, ESP match. ESP match. This is a standard card match, right? An ESP card match. It's a 1-for-1 routine. The magician lays a card down, then the spectator does. They do it 5 times, and of course they match. We've all seen it. Perhaps you have your favorite. Spidey does it in a different way, where each card that's selected is done as an example of one of the different types of psychic phenomena, which is a great presentation. Instead of just saying, oh, now put another card down, put another card down, put another card down, right? And then they all match. Spidey's added, I was gonna say the pattern is better than the actual trick, but that's not true because the trick itself is awesome too. The trick with those is always that the first card and the last card, there's an issue with them, right? What do I do with the first card? What do I do with the last card? Spidey solves both of those. Both of those. Hey, I wanted to jump out of the review for just a second and cut back here to my home studio because even after the review, I just had more ideas. I want to make sure that you guys got those ideas. The ESP matching trick, that's something I've been thinking about a lot because it seems like, you know, every mentalist, you know, and every ESP set that comes out, there's always some sort of 5-for-5, one behind routine that's included. And most of them are done with you having 5 cards and me having 5 cards, and then there's some shenanigans. But there was something in the video that I wanted to just clear up, and I just want to kind of share with you my idea. Spidey says that he purchased 2 ESP decks so that he could have a full deck with the same back. And I don't want you to watch that or come away thinking, oh, great, now I've got to buy 2 ESP decks. You don't have to. You do not have to. He said his reasoning. He wanted to have a whole deck where the backs matched, but that's not important. You are free to do the trick however you'd like. And you know, I think that you will see this time and time again with creators. They will always encourage you. Do the sleight that works for you. Use the cards that work for you. If you don't like doing it with billets, or you don't like doing it with blank business cards or blank playing cards, do it however you like. Please don't ever think that you have to do the trick exactly like the magician. Please insert yourself into your magic. That is always going to be the best possible route. But because you know I'm a huge fan of ESP cards, I wanted to give you my take. So my first offering is Michael Murray's Fully Naked ESP deck. I love this deck, and it is the Rolls Royce of ESP decks. And so definitely, if you have this, or you still haven't bought an ESP deck and you're thinking about buying one, this is the best, because I mean, you look at the backs of these cards, those are fully marked. And yet there's just no way. There's no way anyone's gonna see this. And they're plastic. They're gonna last you forever. I mean, this is a one-time purchase. You buy this one deck, you'll never have to buy another deck again. But Spidey said that he likes using a thicker deck that looks more like a bicycle deck, you know, like 52 cards. Well, the Totally Naked deck comes as a full deck, okay? Now, granted, one deck is red and one deck is black, but from the back side, nobody can tell, right? That red and black, that's so minute. If you start shuffling these together, no one's ever gonna know. And you know what? It really doesn't matter. You can either come out and be totally honest with the spectator. You could just say, hey, normally when this is done, we use a deck that's this size, but you know what? I just feel comfortable using a full standard 52 cards. And if you don't mind, we'll just take this red deck and black deck and shuffle them together. Done. The other thing you can do is just hand them half the deck, right? I mean, why wouldn't you do that? Just say, here's this black deck, go through, find the cards you want, and then for the rest of the trick, you just use the red. I mean, it's totally easy. You don't need to buy two decks. But the other idea is the Anglo ESP cards. So again, if you don't have your own deck, you haven't bought an ESP deck yet, and let's just say you want something that's completely readable. You don't want to spend any time learning markings, right? You don't want to spend any time learning markings. You just want something easy to read that's fooling. You can just buy one purchase and be done. Anglo is going to work for you because the backs of the whole deck, right, are completely identical. So again, you don't need to buy two decks. And here's the brilliance. Here's the brilliance. Half the deck isn't marked. Half the deck isn't marked and the other half is. So all you have to do is break it at the mark, give them the marked cards, and then take all of it back. Then you've got your full deck to use, and you don't need to read the marks of the cards that are in your hands, right? You just need to read the cards that the spectator has. So having the Anglo solves that issue. The other brilliant thing about Spidey's trick that I really want to talk about is the fact that it uses a full deck. I love that idea because when you think about it, all those other tricks are 5 for 5 tricks, right? Where the magician has a little, packet wallet, and he pulls out this and he says, all right, we're going to do a trick with this little packet, right? But come on, packet is not a word that spectators use in their day-to-day life. What they use is deck, right? They understand deck of cards. And to be honest, I don't know why we do this to ourselves. We hurt ourselves, I think, when we do this. We bring this out and then we say, you know what? I've isolated the 4 queens ahead of time. I have these 4 queens that I keep inside this little wallet. Why? Why? Wouldn't it make more sense to bring out a deck and just say, hey, this trick is with 4 queens. Let's find the 4 queens. That's how your spectators think about cards and how they think about using cards, right? They don't. This looks magician-y. This looks like, what are you doing, right? You bring out a whole deck of ESP cards, something that looks like this. This they understand. This they get. Okay, so it only looks weird to magicians. I get it, because the magician expects that they get 5 cards and you get 5 cards, and now we're going to do the matching trick, and we don't need any of those, right? It's pure. It's pure if we do it this way. But why is it pure that we do it this way, right? Because to the spectator, they don't even know what pure is. Okay, they've never seen ESP cards in their life. They don't know what an ESP deck is. This is the first time they've ever seen real ESP cards. So why wouldn't they assume they come in a box and they're a stack of 52, just like regular playing cards, right? They don't know any of the rules about ESP cards. So I think the fact that Spidey has developed this routine around using the entire deck is genius, absolute genius, and I love this routine. The 6th trick is called Ouija board, or Ouija, right? And it's another billet routine. The spectator writes down a piece of information, and then Spidey makes a yes a yes card and a no card, puts those on the table, and then he uses the spectator's information as the planchette, and he puts his hands on it, and he asks questions about the spectator's answer, and the planchette moves from the left to the right. Obviously, there's some sort of one ahead where you're getting the information. You're going to learn a peak in this that is just as strong as Acidus Novus. So if you're familiar with Acidus Novus, the peak in this is just as strong. Yeah, and you're going to get, and this trick is so good that when you download this file, Penguin's going to give you a second file that is just this trick lifted out. Because I think this trick alone, performance and explanation, is about a half an hour. So they're going to lift this out for you, just so in case you ever want to go back and just watch this one trick again. Then the last part of this is a cold reading masterclass that is just all doing readings, right? And Spidey's going to give you his entry-level tips that are really going to change the way you do readings. Spidey has an issue with how we make up our own reading rules, right? We say, well, I just noticed that you tipped your head to the left, so that means no, right? So it just sounds so fake and made up at the time. Spidey's going to help you with that, give you some better tips so that you say things that actually seem more real, right? Add kind of another layer of mystery. And Spidey really has the authority to come in and step in and say this kind of stuff because he has a degree in social psychology. He's a certified criminal investigator. He's been taught by ex-FBI agents. So this is not basic instruction. These are not Barnum statements that you can just find in any online list, right? This is not any of that stuff that you've seen in the past. And the file's going to go back and forth between showing you the strong reactions he got from some spectators that didn't end up making the final cut. He's going to show you how he just hits after hit. And then he's also going to show you another time he was doing it with another spectator where the spectator was a little bit more reserved and wasn't giving him maybe the signals and the positive responses that he would have wished. So it's nice that they showed you both sides of that. And I want to cut back in again because, again, there was some things I was thinking about after the review. Just want to make sure that you get all the information. Spidey was talking about learning some actual cold reading techniques so that you're not doing the standard hack, made up cold reading routines. And this is something that Luc Germain talks about as well. Luc Germain talks about if you're going to get out tarot cards, right, and you're going to do a magic trick, then you should probably know something about tarot, just so that you're not completely faking it. And so Spidey was talking about picking up some cold reading techniques, but if you're going to take that a little step further and actually learn what it means to do body reading, I have a couple of suggestions for you. My first suggestion, this is my favorite book. This is What Every Body is Saying from Joe Navarro. I read this over the course of a summer, 1 year, and I can tell you the stuff in this is absolute gold. If you want to just get a little bit better, improve what you're doing with your cold reading. And the other book that I have that I would highly recommend is Emotions Revealed by Paul Ekman. And it's exactly like it says, recognizing faces and feelings to improve communication and emotional life. This is so that you can look at people, look at their faces, and sum up their emotion, the things that they're thinking, the things that they're feeling. I think if you can find some books like this, it'll greatly improve your cold reading skills. All right, sleights and difficulty level. How hard are these routines? How hard are these tricks? Not hard at all. I think the card sleight that he probably used that I would say would be the most difficult was the convincing control. Of course, you can find this in Card College, and don't forget, you can always go to conjuringarchive.com and you can look up any sleight you want, any sleight you're interested in, and it's going to tell you if it's in one of the books that you already own. He also does a DL in this, and he also holds a break. But I would say those are probably the only difficult things, only difficult moves in this entire act. What about additional purchases? Perhaps he's got some props in this that you don't already own. One prop in this, I'm sure that you already own. Positive you already own. The other prop that he uses a lot in this is, instead of billets, I know I said they were billet routines. In mentalism, that's what we would say, they're billet routines. He uses a double blank deck of cards, which is fantastic because most of us are probably more familiar with card routines. And so cards just slide better, shuffle better, and really spectators, they're probably way more used to playing cards and handling playing cards than they are handling billets. Sometimes billets, because they're not coded, right? They move in chunks and clumps. And if you hand a spectator 10 billets and tell them to shuffle them, it's a little bit more difficult than handling 10 playing cards and shuffling those, right? And so I think it's a brilliant idea. You can get a double back or a double blank deck at Penguin for nothing. So yeah, easy purchase. Positives. All right, so what are the positives? 6 tricks. 6 tricks, plus the cold reading masterclass. 3.5 hours worth of magic, and it's Spidey. Come on, it's Spidey. And I learned a new ESP matching trick, which is amazing. And let me just say, there's some advice in there also. I'm gonna pull the curtain back right now. There's some advice in there also about the Sven pad from Brett Berry. Reviewed those in the past. Love that product. The advice he gives you just on the Sven pad alone rocked my world. Negatives. All right, so what are the negatives? Most of these tricks, I think if all of the tricks, I think he spends the entire set sitting down at a table. And I think I'm just so used to seeing Penguin Lives where people are standing, or at least they stand part of the time, right? And there's some sort of parlor element in the Penguin Lives. I think I wanted, as a personal preference, I wanted more standing magic, or at least him to show you how to take that trick to a standing trick, right? But in hindsight, I realized, like I said, that's my own preference. That's my own bias feeding in, because just that's more how I perform. I don't perform as much with a table. So I think I was just expecting that. But I have been to the Magic Castle a few times, and I've been in the parlor room, and I have watched magicians wow an entire audience seated in a parlor setting. So it's completely possible and done all the time by pros. Secondly is when you think about mentalism anyway, mentalism is a more, what's the right word? Intimate. It's a more intimate branch of magic. And a lot of times when we're doing mentalism, especially to get those big hits, those big reactions, you're doing it by creeping into the mind of a particular person. And so a table helps that sense of intimacy. It becomes this bridge, like a physical bridge that connects performer with a spectator. And so in those cases, I think the table becomes a very important prop. But don't just take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. I am one person, right? I'm one person. I am not the end all to all magic reviews. There are other review channels out there. You should always watch them. Please, always, not just now, always get a second, third, or fourth opinion before you spend your money. This is your money, right? This is your money. Spend it well. For today's, I did something I don't ever do. I don't ever do this. But today I decided I would collect quotes from real world people. That's right. I went out on the internet and I found real world quotes. This is from a YouTube comment from WJ. He said, "I thought Spidey's lecture was excellent and I enjoyed it thoroughly." And these are from the Magic Cafe. That's right. I went to the Magic Cafe, found a thread. These are people, actual comments. They didn't know they would end up in this video, right? They're giving their straightforward, honest, unbiased opinion about this effect. Magic Brady said this video was worth every penny, out of the box and exciting. Kyle Leon says this is an absolute gold mine of incredible mentalism. Stunninger said the routines taught are workers, a solid contender for lecture of the year. Now let me give you 4 well-known magicians. Brett Berry, who I mentioned earlier, creator of Svenpad, said Spidey's Penguin lecture was one of the best. Josh Birch, who I've reviewed here on this channel, said very strong for a real-world audience. Nathan Marsh, he's been at the Magic Castle, Penn and Teller, and he has his own Penguin Live. He said it's a fantastic lecture and a bargain at $40. And the Jerks, come on, he's not gonna say anything that he doesn't wanna say or doesn't believe, right? He's a pretty straightforward guy. He said every trick in this lecture is well constructed and would be both entertaining and fooling for most audiences. There you go, there you go. Real world quotes from real world people, just like you and me. Hey, I hope this video helped you out. I hope it put you in touch with something that you had questions about, or maybe it wasn't even on your radar. And if that's the case, do me a favor, hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow, mash all those buttons. That really helps me out a lot. And big, huge props to penguinmagic.com for allowing me to have this so that I can do the review for you. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.